UJ, what's up, my brother?
Happy to be here, Brandon.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I remember for the first time I heard about you, it was I think our mutual friend Abel James. He told me about your app, 5 Minute Journal, or I guess it's a website as well, and I checked it out and got super pumped on it because it was one of the most actionable tools I've seen out there for really making sure that you follow through with consistent routines of gratitude and just setting intentions and things of that sort. So I would love to start off by just having you kind of introduce yourself and what gets you excited, man.
Great question. So what gets me excited is seeing the possibility of all of the potential that exists in the research of any industry. It could be psychology, it could be productivity, it could be creativity, whatever. And building a system that is beautiful, that's elegant, that's easy to apply, and that allows the adoption of it in significant numbers. So just change. I have a science background, and there's a concept called delta, right? The Greek letter called delta, which is represented by a triangle, and delta means the rate of change. And the delta is what gets me going. The delta is what makes me wake up in the morning. The creation of delta in people's lives is what excites me the most.
That's awesome. I love that. So, can you talk to me a little bit about like how how do you implement like what gets you excited, Delta, every single day? Like, where do you apply it to for the most part?
It's a broad question, right?
Yeah.
Because that can be applied in so many different ways, and there are so many systems that keep them going, right? Well, I was having a conversation a few days ago with a friend of mine, and we were talking about, really, comprehensive growth in all areas of life. And for that, that kind of stuff takes time. You can make significant improvement in one area of your life fairly reliably in a short period of time. But if you're looking to move the needle in every area, you're going to have to automate other systems, and you're going to have to go one system at a time. So it's a fairly broad question. If you can if you can chuck that down, I'm happy to answer that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll start with asking you in your life right now, like, what is something that you're applying it to you're applying this principle the most to right now? Like, what are you trying to change?
Well, I'm in a unique position right now. About 6 months ago, I was involved in a fairly, almost died in a motorcycle crash.
Oh, wow.
And the fact that I'm standing, the fact that I'm moving around, the fact that I've healed so reliably is just a testament to the work that I've put in. I'm not supposed to be standing or moving about right now. And so a lot of my focus for the past several months has been my body, has been recovery, has been rehabilitation. So just quick aside, I was in a motorcycle crash, loved every moment of being on the motorcycle except about 5 seconds before I crashed. And so 4 broken ribs, partially collapsed lung on the right side, shattered pelvis in 3 places, deep entry wounds, nearly missed my kidney. So it's a bunch of stuff to work on, right? And I learned more about the human body in the 3-month time frame than I've ever done in my entire life. I'm still learning. And for the next 6 months to a year, the focus is going to be learning everything I can about physiology, rehabilitation, strength, and then and after that, after the rehabilitation is done, then the strength component, performance component of it. So that's been my focus. And for that, you need experts. Thankfully, you have access to some really great names, some really great folks. So I was at the Bulletproof conference about a week or so ago. I had dinner with Kelly Starrett. He gave me a whole bunch of stuff to work on, which I'm really grateful for. And so I have quite a way to go, and there's tracking for everything. So unless you're reliably tracking and keeping metrics of the things that really matter, nothing's going to move.
Yeah, dude, I would love to pick your brain about tracking because so many people take action and then at some point they just go, well, I guess it didn't work. And you really don't know unless you track. And like, I'll admit personally, I tracked something for the first time, like really tracked it as far as like my health and body and overall just perceive happiness and energy goes during this like 30-day little period of time where I cut out all drugs. So I stopped doing cocaine, heroin. No, I stopped like drinking caffeine. I stopped drinking caffeine. Occasional marijuana smoker, so I cut that out. Stopped drinking alcohol, all that stuff, and then tracked every day, everything from like energy to perceive happiness, confidence, and just looking at it from, you know, the morning, midway through the day, and then the evening. And it just changed the way I saw all those things. So I was like, wow, I looked over 30 days. I was like, I just became a happier, more consistently energized person without any stimulant or without any drug. And so that was huge for me. So I'd love to hear how you systemize your tracking and any kind of strategies you have around that.
That's actually a great question, because I have about 5 journals running on at any given time for different things, right? And they all focus on completely different things. And their all purposes are different. So when people think of journaling, they just think of free form, like, you know, writing whatever the hell is in your brain. And that's one kind of journaling. I really believe every kind of journaling needs to have a purpose. Right? You need to have a reason for doing it. The why is always really important before you start anything. Right? The why is critical. And if you don't have a why, don't start. Because it can lead to a lot of headache, heartache, all kinds of problems and pain. So, okay, first things first. If you're looking to improve any area of your life, it could be health, wealth, relationships, whatever, right? The first thing is, you know, why. And it's, you know, for example, let's say you're looking to build muscle, have a better body. There's a surface why and there's a deeper why. The surface why is maybe I want to look more attractive to the opposite sex, right? That's just the surface why. It's externally driven motivation, right? Unless you get to internally driven motivation, things like I want to prove to myself that I can actually do this and I'm capable of this, right? That's an internally driven motivation. You always need to get to a deeper why, the internally driven motivation, for it to actually make sense.
To actually be able to follow through.
Well, you can still follow through on external motivation, but the happiness you derive from isn't going to be nearly as satisfying or fulfilling. Because external motivation, external validation is usually fleeting, right? There's always a guy who's more ripped. There's always a guy who's more puffed, right? And you can lose that very quickly. Whereas if you're comparing yourself to yourself, there's, you know, you're dealing with one metric, and that's you, and you control you, right? So that's the first thing. Once you have the why, then before even you decide what actions to take, first you decide the metric. That's important, right? And for you, you know, in your example, your metric was your state, your mental, physical, emotional state, and so you track that, which is awesome, right? And if you're looking to change anything, the first thing is an action. The first thing is tracking. You're not going to change anything reliably unless you track reliably. That's just true. Unless you pay attention. If it's the only thing you do, you'll actually move forward faster, more reliably, than actually taking consistent action. Because you don't know what's working, you don't know what isn't, and you won't be able to figure out what to change unless you're tracking. So tracking is like the paramount thing. And the one thing I would say here is make it as easy as possible to track. Don't complicate it. Don't make it like a 15-step process. Ideally 1 to 3 steps. Open a book, write a number, close it, done. Something like that. So the barrier to entry doing it every day is high.
Okay.
This goes back to some principles that we use in the 5-minute journal. It's simple, right? There's 3 things. It came from a process that I used to use every night, which used to take about 15 minutes. We realized most people aren't going to do it for 15 minutes, right? So you had to shorten it. You had to bring it down. Whatever makes people at least take the action. Doesn't matter if it doesn't have this much impact. Just take the action. So that's the next thing. And so tracking what to track really depends on what you're looking to get.
So
right?
Can we use like an example? Like let's say I'm trying to cut fat. Let's say my goal is like, I've seen that, you know, my body looks better, 10 pounds of fat less. So I want to lose 10 pounds of fat.
Sure. A really good metric, a really good thing to track, and this I got from the 4 Hour Body. Take pictures of all your food, right? Losing weight, losing fat specifically, is more about what you eat and less about how you train. And when there's a visual representation of what you ate with a fist next to it, which basically gives you a size proportion of the plate, get a sense of, okay, what are you eating? What's going on here? Right? And that's the only thing you do. And everybody has a phone. Everybody has a smartphone these days. If you don't buy one, it's not that expensive, right? It's going to take another additional minute, maybe, in a day to take all of those pictures.
Yeah.
And if you make it public, it's just one of those things that is fast, it's quick, it's reliable. And if you do it for a month, guaranteed, you'll notice a change. If you're tracking your weight every day, right, and just putting it on a board. Yes, it's going to fluctuate a pound or 2 every day, depending on water weight, etc. But you're paying attention to it. You're paying attention to which direction it's going in.
Yeah.
Attention, again, these 2 things are going to take less than 2 minutes to do every day.
So, are there anything else? I mean, so you have that action, right? The action is you're just taking pictures of your food. So hopefully, the action spurs you to make better choices, eat smaller portions, healthier food.
Yeah.
And then you're tracking your weight, and you're saying, okay, well, how is my weight fluctuating? Is there anything else that you would track with that to be like, okay, well, let's see here. I've gone 10 days and I've lost no weight so far. At what point do you personally look at it and go, okay, well, maybe it's time to take a different action or compound an action with the action I'm already taking?
Well, first things first. So once that happens, every day I journal. Okay. Depending on what I'm looking to get better at, I journal. And for me, my strength is reconstructing stuff and taking stuff apart and really looking and examining things for what they are. So at the end of the day, I go, okay, what happened today? Right? What was good? What was not so good? And that's just a dissection of all the things that are working, all the things that aren't. And it gives you a good sense of, okay, as long as you're putting time into that, you're examining it. Once, in about 2 or 3 weeks, these actions become automatic. Once that happens, you can stack other stuff on top of it. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, this is continuous. You can look back and see, okay, this worked, this didn't, this worked, this didn't. And you give everything a time frame. So about 2 or 3 weeks, you'll get a sense of, okay, how is this working? What's going on? And then you can reevaluate. And always start small and move to bigger things. Don't do the opposite. So we're entrepreneurs, athletes, etc. We're looking at interesting performance. And a lot of us do the mistake of taking everything on all at the same time. And for some people that works. For me, it doesn't. So I know myself enough to know I have to stack it. And I have to stack things that work and do it reliably over and over and over again. So it's easy. Even if you're trying a different kind of workout, you know how long it's going to take, and you know what kind of results you're supposed to get within a certain time frame.
And
right?
So the type of stacking you talked about, so like for you, it would be like, okay, well, I'm going to try to start a new healthy lifestyle. So maybe for like the first 10 days, I'm just going to take a 5-minute jog or a 15-minute jog, and then for the next 10 days, I'm going to start examining, what I'm eating and cutting down my portion sizes. Is that the kind of stacking you're talking about?
Yes, but like I said, the time frame has to be examined properly, because going for a jog is actually like a pretty complex behavior, right? It's complex behavior. Put on your shoes, get out of the house, learn the how to jog. A lot of people have no idea how to jog, and then right, and get into that routine and make time for it, all of the other stuff. So till that becomes consistent, and that's taken care of, and it's just automatic. Don't take on other stuff, and always talk to somebody who's been through the same transformation. Right? So if you're an ectomorph looking to put on muscle, don't talk to someone who has no idea what that's going to be like. Ideally, you want to talk to somebody who has been through a transformation and has had other people go through the same transformation. So he knows the kinks. He knows the routine and the rituals that go along with that. Because now all you have to do is follow the system.
Yeah, just a matter of like modeling someone who's been there, just like anything else, like in business or.
But that's important. Like finding that is important.
Mm-hmm.
Following that is important, because otherwise you could be flying in the dark, not knowing what to do, which is often the case when you're attempting something new.
Yeah, I mean that's why it can be so discouraging if like anyone's reading like maybe like a muscle and fitness magazine or something like that, and you see like a bodybuilder on there, and he's like, all right, my routine is I have a strictly just shoulders day where like I'm doing all these high reps, and it's like, well, you should probably take the fact that this guy is like on a lot of human growth hormone, testosterone, and like you probably can't do what they're doing, so you probably shouldn't model them.
Yeah, especially starting out, reading any of those magazines is just like a ticket to confusion, because there are as many how do I say this approaches to muscle building, fat loss as there are the hues of colors in the sky. Right, there are a lot of them, and so just stick with somebody who knows what they're doing, and just go with that all the way, and you'll learn. This is all a process of self-learning and self-discovery. So as you learn about yourself, you'll be able to iterate. Iteration is the most important word ever.
I know, man. It's that one thing that no one wants to do too. Everyone just wants to be like, well, I tried it and it didn't work, so forget it. I'm not doing this anymore.
I was together with like about 10 friends on the weekend, and it's kind of like a bonding experience. And one of them, like I was talking about the word iterate, it just came up in conversation, and he said, "What is that word?" I'm like, "Dude, you know this word. This is like the most important word ever. Iterate. Test, operate, test, exit. Right? So yeah.
Operate, test, exit.
Test, operate, test, exit. So TOTE. This is like old school coding jargon.
Okay.
Which is what iteration actually is. You test, you operate, you test, you exit, and then you do the same thing over and over again till you get the result you want.
Great. I think everyone who's listening right now should write that down. Test, operate, test, exit, over and over again. I mean, because that's how we continually are able to raise our game. You have to do that all the time. It doesn't, that's what the best athletes in the world do. They're constantly testing, operating, testing, exiting, trying again, and there's no like ceiling on it. You just keep going.
Yeah, and there's also like an emotional component to this, right? So there's also the belief that you can do it, and that's easily the most critical thing. Like when you're iterating so much, like there can be a loss of confidence, loss of belief, a lot of the other stuff. So just constantly bombard your mind with the belief that you can do it, and that could be in terms of reading books of other people who've done it, watching documentaries, hanging around with people who've done it, that kind of thing. Yeah. And that belief just gets embedded in your unconscious. So it's important.
Awesome.
It's an important kind of thing to mention there.
Yeah. So is there another set that you would add on there as far as like, the things that people must do when they're looking to track something, when they're looking to maybe create a new routine or have in their life and they're tracking it?
Chunk down. At the risk of repetition, it's important to take something that's fairly large. Like I said, the jogging is a complex behavior. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think it's simple. A lot of people beat themselves up about it because they're not able to do it. But it's a complex behavior. Right? You break it down into the simplest stuff you could do, and you attach a reward at the end of it. So if it's like lacing up your shoes, mm-hmm. right? You just put it right near your bed. Like this stupid simple stuff like that can go a very long way. And make sure you follow them in order. Right? Make it absolutely stupidly simple for it to start and move forward. And keep the barriers low. Keep the barriers to satisfaction low. So if you get out of the house, right, for like under a minute, still good, still works. Mm-hmm. You're able to do that consistently. It's like training a dog. Same thing. We're mammals, human beings and dogs, not that different. We have this new patch of neurons called the cerebral cortex, makes us be able to think, to rationalize, to have self-consciousness, all this beautiful stuff. But at the end of the day, we still learn very similarly to dogs, mm-hmm. right? And And so just start slowly and progress in that way.
Hmm.
Once you do that with one thing, it's easy to transfer it to other stuff.
Definitely. I know this can be like hard for some people to hear because so many, we're a culture that wants everything now, 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 and I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, like you can create that kind of like now by chunking, right? Like just being like, okay, that's a win right there. Like you said, I got out of the house, and that's it. Instant gratification, like that's a win for the day. I can check mark that off.
And the important thing to mention there is when there's a win, celebrate the win. Right? This is counterintuitive. So I have to like kind of go a little deeper into this.
Okay.
The same thing with gratitude. Like this is the exact same thing with gratitude. So when you celebrate the win, there's two components to it. One is like the mental thought of like, wow, that was a win, cool. But then there is the emotional component to it, right? That's the feeling you feel in your body when you're like, yeah, awesome, right? And that feeling takes a little longer to kick in. It might take a few more seconds to kick in. Wait for the feeling, right? Wait for the feeling. Allow yourself to feel it fully, because that's what the impact of the celebration is actually going to do to you. The celebration helps you keep going. The celebration is the reward. The celebration is the reward that allows you to keep going and gives you permission to keep going. When you're training dogs, same thing. You give a dog a reward. Human beings not very different. If we give ourselves rewards, we're more likely to do that behavior more often and feel more satisfaction out of it. But allow yourself to actually feel the satisfaction. You mentioned about everyone, everything now. You think you have a win, you keep moving. Your mind moves very fast. Emotions move slower. Wait for the emotion.
Yeah, that's so good, man. I hope everyone just like grasp what you just said. Your mind moves very fast, but your emotions move slower. So you do need to wait on that, because so many people have like the beehive mind. It's just thoughts, 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 in and out, in and out, in and out. And sometimes you need to stop and just dwell on that positive emotion and get that positive reinforcement to make sure you follow through with things.
And this is the same thing with gratitude journaling. So a lot of people, some people ask me, sometimes when I'm gratitude journaling, I'm writing the same things every single day. Is that a good thing? And it's not necessarily about what you write, it's about what you feel. So usually when people are writing their 5-minute journal or writing their gratitude journal, whatever the situation is, they'll think about something and write it down immediately. And so what I say is think about it, wait for the feeling to kick in, allow yourself to feel it fully, and then put pen on paper. Don't put pen on paper till you actually experience it in your body, because that's what's important.
Yes.
That's what rewires your neurons.
And I think that's a big reason why people maybe fall off like the gratitude habit and they stop doing it, is because like they're like, oh, this is great, I'm so grateful for like a few weeks, and then they're like, well, where's that emotion? Where's the feeling? And they kind of like, it becomes so habitual that they don't wait for that feeling and go, okay, yeah, that's a sweet spot. That's why I'm doing this, because it feels good.
Exactly.
I think even like saying it out loud and being like, like for me, like I'll say it out loud and be like, I am just so grateful to have a computer that allows me to run my entire business from my desk or anywhere in the world that I want. I'm so grateful for this. And then like sitting back and just dwelling and just basking in how wonderful it is, versus just being like, I have a computer, I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, makes a difference.
It's huge.
Makes a difference.
Is there anything else? I told you before we got started this recording, I really think about you as like one of the experts in like helping people implement gratitude habits and just really bring gratitude into their lives. Is there anything that you'd like to share with the audience about helping them become more grateful and why they should really dwell on gratitude?
Well, so here's the thing, right? So you actually mentioned this point earlier about we're just the way we've been conditioned over the past several years. We want everything now, and there's this constant push to move forward, especially in my group of friends and peers, entrepreneurs, athletes, etc., are very future focused. By future focused, it's about people who are intensely focused on creating a future that we've built up and we've dreamed about, and we're creating, and it's incredible, it's exciting, it's fun, it's motivating. On the other side of things, right, it can also be it can also lead to burnout. It can also lead to fatigue. It can also lead to disillusionment. It can also lead to not being in the moment whatsoever because you're so focused on something else. And I don't know if you've seen this picture, but there's a picture of this guy with like a stick stuck to his head, and in front of him is a carrot. He's like constantly running and chasing this carrot, and this carrot is always moving further. And Dan Sullivan, who's a coach for entrepreneurs, calls it the gap, right? And there's this gap between where you are and where you want to be. And entrepreneurs are incredibly focused on the gap and focused on the future of it. But here's the thing: once you've achieved what you want to achieve, the gap is still there because now you have a different vision, you have a different dream, you have a different future you're dreaming up, and the gap doesn't ever close. And the important thing is what gratitude allows you to do is to reverse that, reverse the negative aspects of that, and allows you to stop and say, okay, cool, what's good here, right? What are my wins for the past week? What can I celebrate? And it's kind of a breather because it gives you the resilience, the strength, the emotional fortitude to celebrate and be happier. And there's tons of research supporting the fact that it makes you happier, but also allows you the ability to build deeper bonds and connections. There's very good research to show that it actually increases pro-social behavior. And pro-social behavior basically means you're more likely to do things for other people. You're more likely to create and add value to people's lives, friends, family, etc. And so what's great about this is, and what's unique here is you've probably heard about all the details and the research on meditation, why that's so important, your practice. I don't hear much about a gratitude practice. You might hear about gratitude, how it's important. But very few people actually talk about the implementation of a gratitude practice. And you look at the science, and the science basically tells you they're almost equally effective. And it's like cross-training, right? So there's a Venn diagram, and both of them are intersecting. Meditation's on one side, gratitude's on the other. They help each other. Meditation's more introspective. It's more... it allows you to go inside so you can focus on one thing for a period of time. Gratitude is more outward directed, right? Both of them lead to greater happiness, to lesser stress, and to a better understanding of yourself. But they're just as important. And the cool thing is, with the gratitude practice, it's not nearly as tough to implement as a meditation practice. You can do it, in 5 minutes a day. I do something called a gratitude walk, which is basically it's about my workspace is about 15, 20 minutes away from where I live. And so when I walk in the morning, after my morning routine, I just walk and I look at the sky and I start thinking of all of the things that are wonderful in my life and all the things that are going to be wonderful in my life. And there's a negative thought, I'd say, not now. This is not your time, right? To come back later because I'm having a good time right now. Yeah. And what that basically does is I'm actually experiencing it in my entire body. It's a full body embodiment of that experience and that emotion. The thing is, I'm going to walk anyway, right? I'm going to take a 20-minute walk anyway. All I'm doing is now I'm giving like an emotional, mental, physical workout to my entire body, right?
Yeah.
And I get to where I need to get to in a good mood, and I'm like reliably about 40 to 50% more productive. Because now I'm in a great mood. You actually do your great work, your best work, when you're in a good mood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, this is really powerful thing for everyone to grasp. Like, how easy is this habit to implement? It's like, I do the same thing. Like, I could be like on my biking around town, and like my dialogue in my head is just like, I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for this. And it's just like what I think about because it feels good and it puts me in the kind of resourceful mindset I want to be in. But we all have so much of this time, whether you're commuting or you're like working out or whatever it may be. Like, if you can just dwell on gratitude during those times, like it doesn't take extra time. It's not taken away from anything else. It's only adding to your experience. So I just want to interject really quick and make sure that everyone thinks about trying to do this during all that downtime they have during the day. Absolutely.
And it could be a drive, it could be a commute, it could be on your bike, it could be whatever, but your mind is not doing much during that time. And so if you can put it to work, it's gonna thank you for it. And then just like a physical workout, expands the range of the strength of your muscles, a practice of gratitude is going to increase your emotional resilience. It's going to increase your mental capabilities. It's going to increase the amount of time that you're actually going to be able to be productive, which is huge for me. Because like 50% productivity, I would kill for that. It's important.
That's awesome, man. Well, I know you got to get out of here, man. So really quick, I wanted to ask you a question that I asked everyone on my show. I'd love to hear a story about a time that you spent in flow. And I know you probably experienced this quite a bit, but I'd love to hear your best story.
I think flow is critical. Flow is like the meaning of life. Getting into flow, staying in flow, documenting what experiences get you into flow, the triggers, all of that stuff. Like, if you haven't done this yet, please do this. It's important. It will change your life. It certainly has changed mine. And I have like several ways of getting into flow. I'm actually in the process of, I'm just finishing up The Rise of Superman. I don't know if you read the book.
Yeah.
Stephen Kotler. He also gave us a keynote at the Bulletproof conference that I was at. And I have several entries into flow, but the one that I guess is the most memorable is my experience on motorcycles. It's incredible. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of risk involved. And there was this time when about 6 months ago, I was on this Yamaha Bison, and I used to take any excuse to go anywhere. Like literally 3 hours away, beach, let's do it. Surf town, let's do it. Anywhere I could go, I would go. And it's one of those things. I had these guys in my ear, so like Google Maps in one ear, music in the other. And, it's one of the greatest feelings in the world when you're able to like precisely control your speed, your movement, your angle, your environment. You're scanning everything. You're almost, and your peripheral vision is very, very active. You're so focused, and you're so in the moment, and you've got just the right amount of adrenaline going, and it's a different kind of high. Right? You could be there for a long time. Time stops. You have no idea how long you've been on there. All you know is you just want to be on it for as long as you can, and it's fun. You can do it for a long time. It's addictive. It's gonna make you want to be on it forever. But I think everybody needs to find something that they can at least a couple of times a week. Because really, that is the meaning of life. If you can experience flow 2 to 5 times a week, you will never experience any kind of depression. Mm-hmm. You're going to have experience like flow hangover, which is normal and natural, and it lasts a little while. But it's one of the greatest experiences of being alive. I think everybody, if they haven't read this book, Flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi and Rise of Superman by Stephen Kotler, do yourself a favor, go get them. I have no financial interest vested whatsoever. It's just I care about people being happier in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's really life-changing stuff, and that's what is so fun. Like, I mean, I get into the flow, honestly, like when I get into really good conversations with like people like you on my show, and like just absorbing all that information, like it's like I get excited, and I get into this state where it's like we could talk for 3 hours and it'll feel like a matter of minutes. And people need to realize that, like, you can, this kind of experience really just adds an overall perceived happiness to your entire life. And yeah, so I hope everyone, really takes to heart everything UJ said today and embraces it. He's given us a lot of great actionable things we can do. And yeah, UJ, thank you so much for coming on, man.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, brother. Take care, and I'll hopefully have you on again soon, brother.
Sounds good. Cheers.